1. The search for meaning and direction. Have you ever felt lost? Like you're walking in circles, not knowing where to go or which direction to take. Like life has lost its sparkle, and despite everything, you still can't see a way out of your dilemmas? We've all been there at some point, that feeling of confusion, of being in a maze without a map. It's like with every step, more doubts arise, and your confidence slowly fades away. Not knowing where your next step will take you can be a silent pain, but trust me, it's a common pain faced by many. This is one of life's greatest challenges, finding meaning, finding direction. In such moments, what you most desire is to be guided by something greater, something that has meaning and purpose. And often, the answers seem far away, hard to reach. The feeling of loneliness and being lost in a sea of uncertainty can be paralyzing. But here's the good news. There is a solution. There is a guide, one who doesn't get lost and never fails. Psalm 23, with its comforting and directional words, has been a lighthouse for those who find themselves in this state of loss. Throughout the Bible, we see God presenting himself as the shepherd who leads the sheep, guiding us through paths of righteousness and offering direction amid the confusion. It's a simple but powerful solution. Return to trusting God, to his unconditional love, and let him guide us back to peace. You may be asking, but how does this work in practice? How can I apply this now in my daily life? Well, the answer is right in Psalm 23, whose words echo as a reminder that even in the darkest hours, God is present, ready to guide us with love and wisdom. He not only offers direction, but also healing for our souls, which are often wounded by confusion and pain. Picture this, you alone, trying to find your way in a dark, dense forest. But then, suddenly, a light appears ahead. You know that by following this light, you will find your way back. That light is God's love, and he is ready to guide you back to his safe embrace, where you will find peace and direction. Now that you know there is a solution, let's explore how Psalm 23 can be the key to changing the course of your life. Stay with me, as this journey of discovery is just beginning. And with it comes the assurance that you will never, ever have to feel lost again. 2. The context of Psalm 23, understanding the spiritual depth. Psalm 23 is undoubtedly one of the most beloved texts in the Bible, but its real meaning goes far beyond comforting words. When King David wrote this psalm, he was doing more than just expressing trust in God. He was revealing a deep spiritual truth that continues to resonate in our lives today. To understand the true depth of this psalm, we need to explore the image of the shepherd, a central figure in David's life and the life of all of Israel. In David's time, a shepherd wasn't just someone who took care of sheep. He was a protector, a guide, and a caregiver. The shepherd knew each of his sheep when they were hurt, when they needed rest, and when they needed to be guided to greener pastures. David's metaphor of God being my shepherd carries the promise that God cares for us in the same way. He doesn't watch us from a distance. He is actively involved in our lives, guiding, protecting, and restoring us. When David says, "I shall not want," he's expressing more than just confidence. He's declaring that in God, we find everything we need. Not only physical sustenance, but also peace for our souls, direction for our steps, and love to heal our deepest wounds. David's shepherd is one who never fails, one who never abandons his sheep. But how does this apply to our daily lives? In moments of doubt, suffering, or uncertainty, it's easy to feel lost. However, by understanding the context of Psalm 23, we see that God is the one who, in every situation, guides us with wisdom, love, and care. He doesn't promise a life without challenges, but he guarantees that by following his direction, we will have peace that surpasses all understanding. This psalm, then, is not just an expression of faith by David, but an invitation for all of us as Christians to trust in God's guidance in every moment of our lives, knowing that he will lead us back to his peace, safety, and love. 3. Verse by verse, the power of Psalm 23's words. Now that we've explored the context and spiritual depth of Psalm 23, let's dive into the words of each verse. Each line is filled with power and meaning, and by understanding them, we can apply these teachings to our daily lives. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This verse is a declaration of trust in God. By saying, "I shall not want," David teaches us to trust in God to provide for all of our needs, not just physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. In times of difficulty, it's essential to remember that God, as our shepherd, cares for us, sustaining us in all areas of life. Full trust in His provision brings peace. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. This verse speaks about the rest God offers us. In a world that is always moving, God leads us to still waters, a symbol of serenity. He calls us to pause, to rest in His presence, and trust in His peace. Practice this daily pause, allowing God to bring rest to your weary soul, seeking moments of silence and reflection. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. God cares not only for our bodies but for our souls. When David speaks of being restored, he reminds us that God brings renewal. He leads us in paths of righteousness, that is, in the right ways, even when we don't know which direction to take. Trust His guidance so that even in uncertainty, you can be sure you're following the right path. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. This verse speaks about courage in the face of fear. The valley of the shadow of death represents times of great difficulty and fear, but God's presence gives us security. He is with us, protecting us, and His presence comforts us, even in the darkest hours. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. This verse speaks about the honor and abundance God offers us, even in times of adversity. Preparing a table before enemies means that even when we face challenges, God blesses us with His grace and gives us the strength to prosper. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. David concludes with a promise that God's goodness and mercy will follow us, no matter where we go. God gives us the assurance that, in the end, we will have eternal fellowship with Him. 4. The journey of the lost, facing the moments of darkness. We've all been through dark moments in life. These moments can come in many forms: a painful loss, a mistake that makes us doubt our choices, or a sense of emptiness that prevents us from seeing the purpose of our journey. But no one is immune to the feeling of being lost. In times of darkness, the pain can be so intense that it seems impossible to find a way out. But it is in these moments that true transformation can happen. The experience of feeling lost is one of the most universal and human. Psalm 23, with its promise that Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me, reminds us that, even in the darkest hours, we are not alone. Darkness is not an absence of God, but often an opportunity to grow in faith, to learn to trust more deeply in His care. Imagine walking through a dense forest, where the trees are so tall they block the sunlight, and you can't see the way ahead. The feeling of not knowing where to go can be scary, but it is precisely in this situation that God steps in with His direction. He is the light that illuminates our steps. Like a good shepherd, He leads us on paths of righteousness, even when the road isn't clear. When we feel lost, it's easy to be consumed by fear. Anxiety grows, and each step seems uncertain. But in the midst of this chaos, Psalm 23 gives us a powerful answer: I will fear no evil, for You are with me. This is the key. No matter how dark the night, God's presence is enough light to guide us. Trusting in His presence brings comfort and courage. The practice here is simple. When facing a moment of darkness, remember that, by fully trusting God, He lights the way and brings clarity even where the fog seems thick. 5. The promise of restoration. How God leads us back to His love. In moments of loss, failure, or despair, we all long for restoration. Pain makes us question whether it's possible to return, whether there's a way to rise again and find the path of peace and love. Yet, Psalm 23 offers an incredibly comforting promise. Spiritual and emotional restoration is within our reach through God's constant presence. In the verse, He restores my soul, David reminds us that God doesn't just care for our bodies, but also for our souls, that part of us that often gets lost in life's struggles. When we feel weak, worn out, or emotionally drained, God offers rest and renewal. The word restores here isn't just a temporary relief, it's a complete renewal, a deep restoration that God offers. It's the promise that He is capable of restoring even the most broken parts of our lives, turning what was once shattered into something new. When we talk about restoration, we often think of a gradual recovery, a long and difficult process. But with God, restoration is instant and complete. He leads us back to His love, drawing us close to His heart, where we can find the comfort and healing we need. In moments of pain, it's easy to believe we're lost forever, but Psalm 23 assures us that no matter where we are, God is always ready to rescue us and bring us back to His peace. To understand this practically, imagine that you are in a desert, exhausted and out of strength, not knowing where to go. God appears before you, offering an oasis of peace and rest. He leads you to still waters and shows you the way to recovery. Even when you feel like you have no strength left, God is present, lifting you up, guiding you, and restoring you. He makes you whole again, without hurry, without judgment, simply offering His unconditional love. This is the invitation God gives us every day, to return to His love, trust in His ability to restore, and allow ourselves to be renewed. Restoration is not about earning it, but about grace. No matter how distant we may feel, God is always ready to welcome us with love and mercy. He is the only one who can restore what's been lost, heal what is broken, and lead us back to a full and abundant life. When you feel lost or broken, remember that God is the great restorer, and His promise of restoration is real and accessible. He will never give up on you. 6. Daily practice. Incorporating Psalm 23 into your daily life. Psalm 23 isn't just a text to be read in times of crisis. It is a source of wisdom and comfort that should be incorporated into our daily lives, offering direction, peace, and restoration at all times. The beauty of this psalm lies in the fact that its words are not just for times of difficulty, but for every step of our spiritual journey. The question is, how can we apply these words in our everyday lives and make them a constant practice? First, it's important to remember that for any promise of God to become a reality in our lives, we need to practice trust. Start your day with a simple prayer, affirming that God is your shepherd. Say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This act of faith in the morning is not just repetition, but an affirmation of trust in God's care. When you start the day with this thought, you're creating a solid foundation of faith that will carry you through the rest of your day. An important practice you can incorporate is taking moments of silence and rest. In "He makes me lie down in green pastures, He leads me beside still waters," we find an invitation to pause and rest. In such a fast-paced world, we often neglect the importance of rest. Take moments during your day to make a pause, breathe deeply, and feel God's presence around you. It could be a simple 5-minute break to meditate or pray, where you allow yourself to be renewed. Another key point is when the psalm speaks about being led through paths of righteousness. This means that every day, we are called to make decisions that reflect God's values. In moments of choice, remember that God wants to guide us along paths of righteousness. Ask Him in prayer how to act in situations that challenge your principles. For example, when facing a dilemma at work, ask God for wisdom to choose the fairest and most honest decision. The practice of trusting God in all situations, including those that bring fear and uncertainty, is also crucial. The verse, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil," reminds us that even in the hardest times, we can have courage. When you find yourself in an emotional or physical valley, remember that God is with you, and that will bring peace to your heart. Also, remember that God doesn't just give us strength to survive, but to thrive. By living with the assurance that goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, you can walk with confidence and gratitude. Even on the hardest days, God's goodness and mercy are always available to you. As a daily practice, make a list of things you are thankful for, remembering that God has been good, no matter the circumstances. Finally, the practice of regularly meditating and praying, reciting Psalm 23 and allowing its words to root deep in your heart, will bring about continuous transformation. By incorporating these promises into your daily life, you will not only find direction and peace, but you will also be led closer to God's love and presence, which are the true sources of restoration and strength. 7. Returning to God's unconditional love. Throughout this journey through Psalm 23, we have been guided by words of comfort, direction, and restoration. Each verse brought a promise that, no matter the challenges, God is always with us, ready to lead us back to peace. The greatest truth revealed by this psalm is that, even in times of pain or doubt, we can return to God's unconditional love, which never abandons us. Psalm 23 is not just a beautiful prayer, it's a practical guide for our daily life. It teaches us that, even in the darkest valleys of life, God's presence is constant and protective. Through His paths of righteousness, He guides us, and in His rest, we find renewal. He gives us courage in the face of fear, honor in the face of adversity, and above all, He leads us back to His love, where we find true peace and security. God's unconditional love is the foundation of our entire walk. He loves us not for what we do or who we are, but because He is love. This love is available to us every day, at every moment, everywhere. Each new morning, we have the opportunity to return to this love, to give Him our worries, and to rest in the certainty that He cares for us. When we feel lost or broken, God does not reject us. He calls us to return to His embrace. This return is not something distant or hard to reach, but a daily choice to trust in His presence, wisdom, and guidance. Every time we choose to trust Him, we are returning to His love, to His peace. This is not something we do once and forget. It is a daily commitment to live with the confidence that God's goodness and mercy will follow us all the days of our lives. At any point in our journey, we can live with the assurance that, with God by our side, we are never alone. His love strengthens us, restores us, and transforms us. He guides us away from pain and leads us back to the fullness of life He promised. With Him, we can rest, for He is our shepherd, and He always leads us back to His love. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. See you next time.